This then is the guidance film for the Empire documentary series by Niall Ferguson, Heaven's Breed. Again, thinking about how the British Empire and what lessons have been learnt about the role of liberty and freedom. How is this going to play out in a non-white dominion? How is this going to play out in India? So we initially start off thinking if the same rules are actually going to apply to India as they have with everything else. And then we move on and we look at the growth and development of Britain during the 19th century, and of course how as technology is improving and Britain's power in the world is improving after Waterloo and the Napoleonic Wars, then obviously the nature of the empire is also going to improve with greater control from the centre. And a theme throughout the documentary is this friction, this tension between the centre, metropolitan Britain, and of course the periphery on the empire. So moving on, look at the mutiny and how the British were desperate to avoid that subsequently, and then how reforms in India brought about improvements in education. Britain simply could not rule India without an educated Indian elite, but it would be that elite that would ultimately become empowered, understand what British values, the nature of British liberty, and demand a transfer of power to themselves. How liberal reforms that British wanted to bring into India were resisted by the whites in India, and subsequently how the British in the 20th century tried to rule India through the princes, but they became increasingly anachronistic, and that what we had to rule through was actually through what would evolve from this elite that we had educated earlier in the 19th century, what developed into the Indian National Congress. And then subsequently we start looking at comparisons with what Britain does in non-white India with what they had done in the dominions like America, and again reviewing our concepts of liberty that we started with.